Think for a minute about some of the stirring speeches delivered by John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. Remember the inspiring words of Eleanor Roosevelt? Each of those great communicators shared certain traits and certain skills. They were able to communicate with power. Their words inspired thousands and affected the course of history. Now, if you're like many people, you believe that great communicators have rare talents. They're somehow superior to you and to me. The fact is, most of them were not born with an ability to get results through effective communication. No, they cultivated the art of communicating effectively. They worked at becoming powerful at communicating. Another fact is, anyone can become an effective communicator. Even if you think you now have a major problem communicating, you can indeed improve and build your communicating skills. If you're willing to invest what it takes. Winston Churchill held England together during the Nazi Blitz of World War II. But did you know that he had a severe speech impediment which required extensive speech therapy during his childhood and early adult years? He overcame what many would consider insurmountable barriers to lead a nation through one of its worst times in history. No matter how good or bad we are, we can always become more effective at communicating. So what would you say is your most pressing reason to boost your communicating ability? Do you want to strengthen your relationships with people you love? That's certainly a very strong reason. Studies show that the number one reason relationships fail is this: a breakdown in communication. Maybe your greatest reason for wanting to build communication skills is that you believe it will help in your career. It's a proven fact that effective communicators are much more successful than people who have problems getting their ideas across. It could be that you just like to get good enough at public speaking or at making presentations to do it without being scared half to death. That's another powerful reason. According to the Book of Lists, stage fright is the greatest single fear of people. Fear of standing in front of a group ranks higher than the fear of death. Hard to believe, but it's true. It could be you have a deep feeling that communicating better would improve the quality of every area of your life. Whatever your reasons for wanting to improve your ability to communicate, and regardless of your present level of skill, our goal is to enable you to become as effective as you want to be, to show you how to get the results that you want most. Now that's a big promise, isn't it? But it's one we feel confident about because it is based on nearly 2 decades of experience at getting results, 2 decades of teaching thousands of people how to get the results they want most. You won't find any untested theories or empty slogans in this program. The ideas and techniques we'll be presenting have been tested and proven effective time and again. Literally, some of the top-name professional speakers in the world have adopted the strategies and tactics of our system. Yet our pledge to enable you to get the results you want through effective communication is a conditional promise. Nobody can make you a powerful communicator. We can show you how, and we will, but only you can decide whether or not you will do what it takes to reach your full potential as a master at effective communication. There are, in fact, 5 conditions that must be met to become a truly effective communicator. 5 conditions each of us must meet if we want to communicate to get results. Condition number 1, we must have a burning desire. We humans have almost unlimited potential. We can achieve virtually anything we desire strongly enough. But that's the key. We have to want it. Want power creates willpower. People sometimes say to me, after I've given a keynote speech or conducted a seminar, I would give anything to be able to speak to an audience as effectively as you do. And my usual reply is, you'd be 10 times better than I am if you would invest 1/10 of what I have invested. When I arrived in America 20 years ago, I was a teenager in a strange new world. I knew almost no words of the English language. All I knew was that I wanted to know the language. I knew that I wanted to reach out to others and have some impact on their lives. I knew that I wanted to be able to communicate effectively. That same desire can do for you what it has done for thousands of people everywhere. You can become as effective at communicating as you want to be, as you desire to be. Have you ever heard the story of the great Greek god? This ancient Greek lived in the golden age of orators, in a land where all major disputes were settled by public oration. Once when he was a young man, he asked to speak to the assembly and was granted a hearing on a vital issue. As he stood in front of the crowd, his weak voice trembled, his thoughts were muddled. He became more frightened and less effective as the speech dragged on. Finally, his audience could stand no more. Boos and hisses forced him to step down. Humiliated, he completely withdrew from public life. But he was not easily defeated. His humiliation and fear gave way to a burning desire to become a great orator. He wanted to speak in a way that would move people to action. So, to improve his diction, he practiced for hours on end with stones in his mouth. To strengthen his weak voice, he shouted for hours into the heavy winds coming off the Asian Sea. To clarify his presentation, he studied the techniques of the masters. And to overcome his fears, he practiced with a sword hanging over his head. When his next opportunity came years later, he was ready. He stepped in front of the assembly to warn the nation of the tremendous threat posed by Philip II of Macedonia. He set about to offer practical ideas on how to combat this treacherous intruder. His speech was powerful. His thoughts were clear, and his delivery was dynamic. As the echo of his final words faded, the entire audience rose as one person and began to shout, "Let us go and fight Philip." It was all because of his burning desire to communicate, his burning desire to get results. That's the first condition. The second condition all great communicators must meet is we must understand the process of communicating. We can only become proficient at any skill or craft if we have a grasp of the process. Understanding what is happening as effective communication occurs is a fundamental step in the quest to become an effective speaker. Communicating is basically sending and receiving images. We may talk in words, but we think in images. For example, if I say the word horse, do the letters H-O-R-S-E come into your mind? Or rather, do you form a mental picture of a four-legged animal? You see, words are only one of the vehicles we use to communicate images to each other. We also rely on such tools as pictures, sounds, and gestures. We use images whether we are trying to catch a waiter's attention to order another cup of coffee, or explaining Einstein's theory of relativity to a group of students. To communicate effectively, we must send accurate images to others, as well as receive accurate images from them. The challenge is always to convey images exactly as you see them, and to receive them exactly as others see them. Communicating is a simple process, but it's not always easy. We humans can send and receive very complex images. In fact, we can exchange such complicated images that it's a wonder we can communicate with each other as effectively as we do. We constantly receive very elaborate images. Then we relate them to other images we have stored in our memories and attach new meanings to them. The exchanges of information seem very complicated to us unless we understand clearly how simple the process really is. I like to think of communicating as mind-to-mind reorientation. In other words, when you communicate effectively, You can change the way people think, feel,